Thank you very much for staying. Welcome back to the markets, please. Now, Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Ernest Addison, has indicated the regulator's preparedness to support banks that want to merge in order to meet the new capital requirement. Now, the governor disclosed that at a program with the Chartered Institute of Bankers. George Wiafe has more.
According to the governor, they've also started reviewing the capital build-up of banks, especially for those that have submitted their recapitalization plans. He's also indicated the Bank of Ghana would engage the Ghana Stock Exchange to facilitate processes for banks that want to turn to the capital market to raise funds and possibly list on the local bourse. The governor has also directed the chief executives of commercial banks to come up with a detailed plan on how to resolve loans they fear might go bad, or what some will call non-performing loans. The governor also spoke about how he plans to give some priority to crisis management, especially in the response to banks that the recent collapse of 2 banks in the country to help consumer confidence in the banking system. Whilst the much talked about deposit insurance would take off from next year, the governor also promised to scrutinize interbank borrowings and placement and review the manner in which banks provide emergency liquidity support whilst providing protection for individuals that raise alerts to the Bank of Ghana on more practices in the banking sector.
And that was George Wiafe's report. Now, companies that are yet to file their outstanding annual returns and or renew their business registration at the Registrar General's Department have till the end of April 2018 to do so or face stiffer sanctions. That's the latest warning from the Registrar General, Jemima Owari. There's more in this report.
The warning follows enforcement of the penalty payment of 300 cedis for each year of default since February. According to the Registrar General, Jemima Owari, the notice has become necessary because a lot more companies have yet to file their annual returns as well as update their records into the current electronic database, e-Registrar. She says companies' failure to adhere to the new directive would only attract additional fines.
Basically, it's about the same thing, except that the penalty is now 350. That's all it means. So you pay maybe 50 Ghana cedis for all the years you've not filed returns. Say if it's 10 years, that's 500. Then you pay a penalty of 350 instead of 300. So it's just been graduated by 50 Ghana cedis.
Okay. What of companies that, let's take they go bankrupt, and you could see that the company is non-existent? Should they also have to update their database?
It's even more imperative that they do that. If they've gone bankrupt, they don't want to do business anymore, the Companies Act gives you the procedure to take your name off the register. In cases where you've gone bankrupt, you can't pay your debts as they fall due. That's what we call official liquidation.
What more do defaulting companies stand to lose if they fail to honor these obligations by the end of April 2018?
It was supposed to be 300 Ghana cedis every day that the default continues. And we just thought it was so puny. So we did it a flat rate of 300 Ghana cedis.
Is it not too outrageous? 300 cedis a day?
The penalty unit said 25 penalty units for each day that the default continues. A penalty unit is 12 Ghana cedis, 50 pesos. If you calculate that, that's 300 Ghana cedis. So, I just felt that it's just too punitive. Each day that you do not file your return is 300 Ghana cedis. So we did a flat rate of 300 for the year 2006 to the year 2017. Because you file returns the preceding year. So people should file returns in 2017 for 2016. That's what I'm saying. I've pushed the deadline to April 2018 for you to file returns up to 2017. And now the penalty has gone up from 300 to 350. So what it means is that if you hit my directive, you will still pay the penalty of 300 if you've never filed before. But if you've been filing, you just pay 50 Ghana cedis. You won't pay any penalty of 350.
Sole proprietors are also to note that failure to renew their business names would render the business name inactive in the electronic database from 2nd January 2018, making it impossible for any changes or updates to their records.
All right, so the marketplace and Deputy Trade and Industry Minister Carlos Ahenkra has commissioned a $16 million packaging manufacturing plant for Fun Packaging Ventures. Now, Carlos Ahenkra said the plant will boost government's industrialization agenda. Let's now cross over live to the ground where Sheila Tamaklo has been witnessing the commission. Sheila joins us live. Now, Sheila, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. If you can hear me.
Emmanuel, we are currently here at Fun Packaging Ventures located on the Spintex Road. Now, this particular edifice that you can see here is worth about $16 billion US. And this factory will be producing about 3 million cartons on a monthly basis. So currently I am here and I'm joined by the MD himself in the person of Emmanuel Osei Inti to tell us more about this particular factory and what role it's going to play, especially looking at government's industrialization agenda. So Mr. Inti, could you tell us a bit more about this factory and how timely it is?
Definitely. This factory definitely came at the right time because we came in to fill a gap in the industry with regards to packaging. We serve as a company that supplies supply chains across the country and across the West African sub-region with quality packaging to add a plus to their supply chains. So our main focus is on quality. Quality for you to put your products into and quality for you to market your products out to your customers. This factory mainly came about because, like I said, we realized that there was a lack of quality packaging on the market. And we rose up to the call to fill up this deficit in the market. So we've been running for about 3 years now. And as you can see now, we're combining a lot of innovation in our practices, in our manufacturing process to make sure we can deliver nothing but quality, efficiency, and in the shortest possible time to the customers. And at the best prices as well.
Okay, some may describe this particular industry or sector as quite challenging. For you, what would you say is the main challenge facing this particular industry, especially when we talk of packaging, I mean with the paper industry at hand?
I would say the main challenge is regards to the human resource, the personnel. The packaging industry in Ghana is one that developed mainly just about 15, 20 years ago, so we're still relatively young compared to the others in Europe and the US that have been around for 50 plus years. So because of this infancy in the industry, most of the time the main problem we face is we don't have the adequate people to help run the machines. So what happens is that most of my competitors and I end up going in for expats to fill in the knowledge gap, which is at the expense of the local people. So for us, what we have been pushing for lately is to go in for the youth, go in for young people and train them on our own and build them up to be able to run such innovative technology. We envision that within a year from now, we should have 100% Ghanaian workforce running our shifts.
Now, with government's strong push for industrialization and with you in this particular sector, what other measures do you think is still needed to make this particular industry grow?
The government needs to, first of all, help with the importation of cartons. Because as big as we are with our capacity and as big as the market is, you still have companies that are able to import cartons at a much cheaper price than we can provide on the market. So then it begs the question, why come to us then if I can import from outside and still save money? So what we envision is that the government, one, needs to contribute to making the factors of production much, much easier for most of the industry, and also make sure that we can be competitive not only in our local market, but in the sub-Saharan African market as well.
Okay. Yeah. So, Emmanuel, we've heard quite a lot. And as you heard from the MD himself, although this particular industry, that is the packaging sector, is thriving, there's still a challenge with the importation of packages from foreign countries, which makes them less competitive. So just like you heard, for the MD, he believes that governments needs to step in and control the level at which we import packages into this country to allow businesses like theirs thrive, especially looking at the fact that government is going into massive industrialization.
Thank you very much, Sheila Tamaklo. And that was Sheila Tamaklo reporting live from Sakumono here in Accra, where the Deputy Trade and Industry Minister, Carlos Ahenkra, commissioned a $16 million packaging manufacturing plant for Fun Packaging Ventures. Now, when you hear about insurance, what readily comes to mind day in, day out Insurance providers promise better living conditions after their people are hit by some unforeseen disasters only with insurance covers. But really, how much do we understand insurance? The following report has more.
Life insurance, motor insurance, travel insurance, and fire insurance. Day in, day out, we hear of several insurance policies. Insurers promise that insurance policies like this would help make life much more comfortable. But what really is insurance?
I really don't know much about insurance, but a security for a business or a property or something. And I also know that for insurance, it's always the unfortunate person who benefits.
I don't really know much. I don't know much about it.
I think that it's an initiative specially designed for people who actually, or let me say victims who have suffered from an unfortunate incident. For instance, let's say a property insurance. It means that they're actually going to care for, let's say, the unfortunate event which has happened to the company.
I don't really have a fair idea about it, but then what I've heard is you can insure your life, your cars, and then your properties, what you have, so that in case any damage happens, they can give you some amount of money, and then they can pay you back what you've lost. That's what I know.
The average Ghanaian's knowledge about insurance is mainly on the notion that insurance is enjoyed by only the unfortunate. Insurance analyst and marketer Edgar Redu explains that insurance is the protection against the risks that confront us in everyday life.
What are the risks that confront you by the day? What are the challenges that comes your way by the day, for which could, as it were, make you incapacitated? So, for instance, you say you wake up in the morning, you may not even wake up. That is an event that has happened. You may not even wake up. And anything that happens to you, the unfortunate event, your life has been truncated in a way, assuming that event makes you incapacitated. Then it means life has truncated. But so far as you are alive, you still have to eat. So now the question that arises is, what do I do to position myself that in a situation where such events happens, this risk happening to me, how then do I continue living? So based on this, then there's a need for me to seek a certain protection. There's a need for me to position myself in that situation such that I can always live. So I am now going for a policy, an insurance contract.
What happens then to money invested in insurance when these risks in life do not occur? Insurance marketer Edgar Redu further explains that the money generated from several people creates a pool of insurance for several others who stand the chance of benefiting should they face any of such risks in life.
The many that are contributing into the pool helps take care of the few that suffer the unfortunate events. Okay? We all don't know who will suffer from it, so we are all making a contribution into the pool. So the ones that do suffer, the contributions that have gone into the pool, will take some and then give it to them. So it is not, we all don't know tomorrow. That is why we are in it.
The low patronage of insurance policies in the country has been attributed to the lack of education on the subject, as well as distrust in the conditions surrounding insurance policies. The National Service Secretariat has launched a mandatory insurance cover for service personnel under the National Service Scheme. Among other things, the 15-cedi insurance policy is a way to inculcate the attitude of insurance into Ghanaian youth.
Consultation needed to have been done with the service personnel for them to buy into it. If such consultation were not done, then it creates a lot of confusion. You get me? So maybe if it's good for them, they think it's not good for them. But maybe if they are sat down with them and giving them idea, the benefits that they would have had, they would have bought into it. For I understand where you're coming from, that you haven't bought it, why are you selling it to me? That is an argument. But in societies too, we join associations and other things, and they have some policies. I mean, you go to a company where they have insurance covering somebody's wife and children. It's already there before you join the company, but you buy into it. So there's always a starting point. In most establishments, they have some kind of insurance.
On insurance, would you rethink your decision on getting an insurance cover? Reporting for Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
And telecoms giant MTN says it would be advancing most of its funds raised from the record loan syndication to support its expansion and service quality improvement from next year. The telecoms giant disclosed this to Joy Business at a program to formally sign a 510 million CD loan syndication with 9 banks. The facility, which will have an interest of almost 17%, will be paid over 5 years. Now, EcoBank is leading this syndication arrangement, and Managing Director Dansaki has said the deal is in line with the bank's strategy of supporting institutions that provides mobile technology. Now, our indefatigable George was there at the signing ceremony. He has joined me in the studio. Now, George, tell us about which of these banks are involved and what is their arrangements.
So there are about 9 banks, and EcoBank is leading this whole facility. You can talk about Barclays, you can talk about Fidelity, you can talk about SG, you can also talk about Stanbic Bank. So what is MTN actually doing? They need an amount of money. It might be difficult to get it from one bank. Therefore, EcoBank came on board and brought in these 9 banks to raise 510 million Ghana cedis. Now, apart from the Cocoa Board loan syndication, this is the second biggest loan raised by a single entity, or for a single entity being MTN. Where are these monies going, as you explained earlier on, into network expansion, and also talk about capital expenditure of MTN. So if you've been complaining about the fact that there are issues with service quality and you on the MTN network, be it whatever part of this country that you are in, most of these funds are going into this area. And from MTN, we understand it has already started already in terms of investing this capital that is coming into network expansion. And also we are hearing impact on what they are paying and all those things. So a record facility, apart from the Cocoa loan syndication, the second biggest facility raised by EcoBank for a single entity.
Now, to me, it is very interesting because I believe that with all this money coming in, it has a tendency to show up the value of the city. I mean, because it's going to increase.
Well, the interesting thing here is that this MTN didn't go outside to raise this money. And these are coming from local banks. So in terms of dollar inflows, we might not necessarily have any impact, direct impact on the city. But again, if MTN is deploying these funds into areas that would improve on service quality, and it has an impact on those who are on this network, some will say turnaround time. Also, don't forget that MTN is one of the leaders in this mobile money technology bit. So the more easier for you to use this network to carry your work around, and MTN is able to pay those funds back quickly at the rate, it has an impact on these banks, and also with respect to the pricing of fresh loans going forward. So indirectly, it could have an impact in terms of cost of credit and also the amount of funds available or on the books of these banks to lend to people like you.
All right, now what about the impact on the users of MTN?
And that's what we are speaking about, the service quality. And there have been issues about call drop rate, there have been issues about moving into area. A substantial amount of this funds that have been raised would also go into their 4G network. And we understand that what we are using right now is just the first phase of this whole total arrangement by MTN to ensure that when you talk about the fastest internet network, it has to be the 4G. Some funds are going in to ensure that a click would be more than a second, you get everything being downloaded. Right. So it's going to improve your internet connection as well, and also make sure that when it comes to call drop rate, it's improved drastically.
Quickly, why is EcoBank leading?
So EcoBank believes that they cannot raise all these monies on their own. And what we understand that when the bid or the arrangement was put out, they even had more than what they were looking forward to. So EcoBank is just leading the process, bringing together all these banks that I cannot raise this money alone on my books. Can you come on board and support me? So the other banks also made some contributions to reach this 510 million Ghana cedis.
Thank you very much, George, for your time. And that was quite a significant, huge amount of money being invested by MTN next year. Now, if you have a swimming pool at your home, then you should be very rich. That's the perception of many people out there. Now, in the repeats of this afternoon's edition of the Joy Business Van, we encounter the construction engineer of swimming pools in Ghana.
The Joy Business Van, empowered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Ijo Senanu is one of the very few Ghanaian pool constructors. It is no surprise though, there are not so many pool owners in the country. Swimming pools may be common at public places, but a few homes have them. Ijo started Aqua Pleasure about 7 years ago. This is just one of several pools that Ijo has constructed. Tell me how you got into constructing swimming pools.
Yeah, I happened to work with a family friend about 15 years ago who was doing a swimming pool. But I worked briefly with him before he traveled to the US, and after that I got into it, though I have a passion for construction since childhood. So after that, you know, it's a very small area, so I developed that interest in that area rather than general construction.
Ijo takes me to one of his construction sites here in Accra. What goes into constructing a pool like this?
I would say it's a complete construction like a house, because you do excavation to get your depth and what have you. Then you do your block work if you have to do. Then you do your form work to get the form and the shape of the pool. You do your concrete, your metal work, tiling, electrical work for your lights, for your motor, and so it's a whole construction from like a building.
Individuals who own swimming pools are usually thought to be rich in this part of our world, so this aspect of construction is least explored.
To be honest with you, I can say in the whole of Ghana, major swimming pool constructed companies or like myself will be about no more than 5 across the whole of Ghana. And they are very, very difficult to get, and not alone even the pricing. So people tend to shout, okay, why can't we try 2, 3 people, but they are not available.
Ijo decided to take this on as a business anyway. He started with doing repair and maintenance works on pools before he was entrusted with contracts. He didn't always get it right, but as time has gone by, Ijo has become one of the most sought after pool constructors in the country. Building a swimming pool can cost you between $20,000 and $500,000 depending on what you want. But Ijo tries to cut down on cost as much as possible because he believes everyone should be able to afford a pool.
It's that perception, that is why it's even difficult for people to build a pool. Because I'm not rich, so I can't build. And that is my passion and my vision. For every Ghanaian who has built a house should be able to have a pool if he wants to. Once you are making any meaningful income, you should have a pool.
Why should I have a pool at my home?
Swimming is the best form of exercise in the world, and people would like to swim these days. And because everybody is becoming health conscious and you are not having time, you are busy. But once you jump into the swimming pool right now, with about 15 laps, you are fine. You don't need any weight lifting, jogging, all of these things. You just do 15 laps over here, you are good.
Okay.
So if you have it in your home, you just step out of your house in the morning or you come in the evening, you just jump inside, you swim for a while. And it's fun. Whilst we are having fun, we are exercising every part of your body. So it's worth the money.
The challenge for Ijo now is convincing people they can actually afford a pool. There's a glimmer of hope though, as Ijo tells me, trends appear to be changing in the last couple of years. Aside from constructing pools, Ijo owns an academy where he teaches people how to swim. He generates money from there to sustain his operations. His goal is to go global.
We don't want to just build a Ghanaian entrepreneur who, when you hit my head right now, you split it open. My market is global. I'm ready to take up anything, anywhere. So that is my vision, and I'm having serious contact with certain people even outside for factories who are into the real fabricating of these things, like the machines. I'm in contact with them for a while now, and so my vision is to even flood Ghana, West Africa, and Africa as a whole.
The Joy Businessman is always on Business Live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. with a repeat on the Marketplace on Thursdays. And that's it for this edition of the program. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Many thanks for watching, and let's meet again same time tomorrow. Good afternoon.